Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a fabulous day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. Well, today I'm talking about Katt Williams again because that interview is the gift that keeps on giving. People are still making videos about he said this about that person and that person clapped back. And all of that is very entertaining, but that's not the intellectual core of what he had to say. Katt Williams says that he was gifted. He was accepted into college when he was 12, 13 years old. So that's what we call gifted. So he's one of the people that says he's gifted, and I really believe he's gifted. Just his ability to convey to the public his feelings and sentiments, even while being funny and exposing people, is a certain type of genius. He took something that was very simple, his experience in the entertainment field, and he created a whole culture around that interview, which is about the people that he has encountered and the culture that is created within that industry. There is an intellectual core to the things he said that goes to the heart of the Black American experience. Katt Williams, in talking about Hollywood, characterized the three curses that have been placed upon Black Americans. Sister Doras did a video about the sorcery against Black Americans, and I want to make sure you get to watch that video if you want to. So if I forget to put it in the description box, this is the link to that video. It is a very good video, and it's one that all Black Americans should be required to watch, because these are the things that have been done against us that many of us are not aware of. Many of us are aware of them. All of us are aware of them on some level. But we don't understand, we may not understand that these things that have been done to us are intentional. They were done from the very beginning, before our ancestors got on those slave ships and came to the New World. Now, if your family members did not come here on slave ships, I am not talking to you. I'm talking to the ones that did. Now, she broke down a video where a Jewish rabbi was preaching to the congregation at New Birth Missionary Baptist Church in Lithonia, Georgia. Now, it's unfortunate that Black people would sit there and listen to a white man preach to them about their own history. But if a Black person tried to preach that history, I doubt if most Black people would accept it. And that's a part of the ignorance that's been placed upon Black people. Not trusting each other, believing that your enemy has your best interest at heart more than your own people. But back to the topic. According to the rabbi, and this has been repeated over and over again by Jewish scholars, there were three curses placed on the African people before they left the shores of Africa. These curses were put upon them to subdue Black people, to make Black people dependent upon white people so they could manipulate them. Now let's be clear. These things, these curses, white people placed these curses on Black people, and white people executed these curses. God did not do this. Enslavers did this. So these are the curses. The first curse was the curse of poverty. Keep the enslaved people poor and dependent on white people, and they'll have you working for them forever. Now, what are we seeing now, 100 and something years after slavery ended? Now I'm back to Katt Williams, talking about what Black people are doing in Hollywood to make money. That's because I believe of a history of poverty. So you're selling your soul, your body, your mind, and selling out everybody you know for money. That is the curse of black people. That's the curse of black Americans. Keep them poor and keep them dependent on the white man. That way he can come into your community, pick out the gifted people, Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, give them some kind of a contract, but some kind of way they still retain control over you, so you never really have control over your own money. Nick Cannon, you think you own something, and then when you read the fine print, you find out you don't own anything. You're not a boss. You're a worker. So basically, a sophisticated form of slavery, because at the end of the day, you don't really own that money. You've got a large line of credit. Whenever you decide you think you're in charge, Kanye West, they pull the chain on you and you right back where you started. And they don't miss a beat. They'll come back and get another black person to fill in what you were doing, and they just keep the ball rolling. Pharrell Williams is now designing for Louis Vuitton. So Pharrell is the new Kanye. Kanye has been dismissed. He can get on social media and tweet anything he want to tweet or put any kind of Instagram story he wants. He has been dismissed. And most of his wealth has been taken. And if he doesn't shut his mouth and get somewhere and sit down, the rest of it is going to be taken. There's a reason why Taraji and the rest of these black actresses are complaining about not being paid fairly. That's the plan. Even though they are doing quality work, as good a work as white actresses, but they're not being paid the same. That's the design. You're not going to be able to outsmart them at their own game. They made up the rules to this game. Poverty is a curse that's been placed on black people. Now, Hollywood is just a glorified example. Look at the situation of black Americans in America where poverty is concerned. Every time you think you're about to get on your feet, everything goes up. The cost of housing, the cost of food, the cost of cars, even the cost of childcare. Everything goes up so that your head is just above water. You're always swimming against the tide. That is by design. And the saying goes, the rich get richer and the poor gets poorer. And that is by design. The second curse that was placed on the African people before they became enslaved was sexual immorality. Those people had very high moral standards when they were living in their tribal communities in Africa. But one of the ways that they were broken was to impose sexual immorality up on those people. And we're living it out now. Let's look at one. Let's just take this example. When they start talking about that transgender person, the most famous person that was known to go through that transition was Bruce Jenner, a white man. Bruce Jenner was the face of it, but who's the face of it now? Who's switching around in dresses and nail polish and nails and wigs and acting like women? Black men. We see them doing that more than anybody else. And look in our communities. Anything goes with anybody. If you got some kind of degenerate behavior that you want to make popular, put it on a black person, male or female. So that has been placed on us as a curse. And that way, all of this is done to diminish us as human beings. So we're not seen as credible. We're below average, not totally human. That was to justify them taking black people in slavery, pillaging, plundering, and robbing Africa, and saying they're doing it because we're not civilized. We're savages. And also back in the slavery days, when they had those breeding farms. After the government ruled that they couldn't bring any more slaves into the United States, they started breeding farms where enslaved people were breeding more slaves. Black men and black women procreating to make more enslaved people because they couldn't bring any more out of Africa. The black man had no control over the woman or the children. The purpose was to make more slaves. that fostered sexual immorality among black people, and it has gone downhill ever since. I don't have to go any deeper into it. You already know sexual immorality was the curse that was placed on those Africans before they got on those slave ships and became enslaved. And once they got here, there was no limit to what could be done to them. So that destroys a person's psyche and your sense of who you are. That was by design. Now back to Katt Williams. What did he say about some of the black men in Hollywood? And why did he say he had to turn down $50 million 4 times? Because he was trying to protect his male identity. I'll put it that way. But that's a part of the sexual immorality that was placed upon black people. And I'm going to add this, you can verify it or not. Coming out of slavery, the black family was more intact than it is now. There are stories all over the South of family members walking for miles and days and months and looking for their family members for sometimes years after the institution ended. So black families, right up until about the 1950s or 60s, black men and women were married at a higher rate than white people. What happened? Well, for one thing, yes, drugs were brought into our neighborhood, but then this whole idea of the forbidden fruit, the white woman, the black man was given access to that forbidden fruit. And what is the first thing they will say? The first thing they used to say when they got involved with those white women was that they will do things that black women won't do. But now there is nothing that anybody will do that black people won't do. We have given totally in to the sexual immorality curse that was placed on us. The third curse that was put up on those people before they left Africa was that they would forget who they were. Now, why would that be important? There is no other racial group that has come to the United States where they were required to forget who they were. And to that end, what did they do? Forbid you to use your name. You couldn't talk about your tribe. You couldn't speak your language. You lost your parents, your family, your homeland. All of that was gone. You couldn't even speak of it again. The total culture of who we were was destroyed. If you kept talking about it and demanding to keep your name, you got your foot cut off if you were Kunta Kinte. You got beat. You got castrated. They wanted you to forget who you were. So why would you forget that? Well, for one thing, there are maps that say that black people came out of the kingdom of Judah, that the enslaved people were the tribe of Judah. And what that means is the chosen of God. That's the only explanation. They want you to forget who you are. And once you forget who you are, the other two things were easy. It's easy to keep you deprived of poverty and tell you you're nothing, you've created nothing, you've made no contribution to civilization. It's easy to make you into a slave if you don't know who you are. So that was the third curse that was put on our people in Africa. Forget who you are. If you are the chosen of God, you're going to forget that because we're going to treat you like you are not a human being. So those were the 3 curses that Katt Williams talked about. And when Shannon Sharpe asked him, why do white people not like black people? You act like you don't like black people, but you are paying attention and watching them all the time. And what did he say? The liar knows what lie he told. But he's watching you, something, and I have to paraphrase it, but he's saying he's watching you because he knows what he's looking for. So what was he looking for? The Messiah that was promised to the people of God. He said the liar knows there's a Messiah coming. You don't know because you don't know who you are. Now that's paraphrased. I will put that video in the description box as well. Each one of those curses that were put on our people before they left Africa Katt Williams touched on all three of those curses, and so did that rabbi in the video that Sister Deborah responded to. So both of them are worth watching because we were tampered with. Our minds were tampered with. Our identity was tampered with. Those curses were put up on us and carried out on us through the people who enslaved us. We need to learn our history. Okay, y'all, thank you for listening. Let me know what you think about the video. Subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, share the video, and as always, have a great day.